Welcome to the channel. I trust that you're doing well, and in this video we've got some breaking news as conversations about Bitcoin as well as cryptocurrency are taking place at the highest levels of government around the world. So we'll take a quick look at that breaking news, then we'll take a look at the sentiment of the market, we'll look at the retail interest, check in on the Bitcoin ETF inflows and outflows, and at the end of this video we're going to take a look at the price action of Bitcoin, and I'll show you some price levels that I'm paying close attention to. So if that sounds interesting to you, stick around for the video. Don't forget to leave me a like, hit subscribe, and if you do hit subscribe, make sure to tick that bell down below so that you're notified when I put out future videos. Let's get into the video. And starting out with an interesting piece of breaking news, we have yet another world leader that's come out saying that Bitcoin cannot be banned and is here to stay. We see here, just in, Mr. P says, "Who can ban Bitcoin? Nobody." Now, if you'd like to watch this clip here and see what he had to say, feel free to visit Bitcoin News on X, and I can leave a link for this in the description down below. And I've been thinking this for a very long time. You can ban yourself from Bitcoin, but you can't really ban Bitcoin. It is here to stay. It kind of reminds me of this quote here. First they ignore you, then they ridicule you, then they fight you, and then you win. And it sure seems like Bitcoin as well as crypto are approaching that critical moment in time. I mean, I've been in this space for multiple cycles now. Of course, I remember when they ignore you, then they make fun of you. I remember 2017, 2018, it's a tulip bubble, it's a beanie baby bubble. Then of course, along comes Gary Gensler and the SEC suing everybody. And now here we are. We have a new administration coming into power soon in the United States. That's not only pro-Bitcoin, but pro-crypto. And we have other world leaders beginning to acknowledge it as well. And it would appear that the New York City Mayor Eric Adams would likely agree with that quote. Here's what he has to say.
We should not be afraid of Bitcoin. Remember y'all laughed at me when I first got my Bitcoin? Who's laughing now? Go look at my Bitcoin now. You all mock me. You're taking your first 3 paychecks in Bitcoin. What's wrong with you? Now you wish you would have done it. you know? And so I am happy. We should not be afraid of Bitcoin.
Meanwhile, we have the Japanese Prime Minister saying, "The question of whether or not crypto assets should be included in ETF offerings needs to be considered based on whether or not we should really strive to make it easier for the public to invest in crypto assets." So take that as you will, but it's just another conversation taking place at the highest levels of government around the world as they try to figure out how to responsibly regulate the space. I personally think we will see more ETF offerings in the future. At what point, I don't know. But I won't be the least bit surprised if we eventually see an XRP, Solana, maybe even beyond. So we'll see what comes in the future. And quickly popping over to Bitcoin Magazine Pro to take a look at the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index. And we can see that it's at a 78 out of 100, which is still considered extreme greed. Now, as I've mentioned in past videos, things can stay extremely greedy for a long period of time if Bitcoin's going through price discovery, which it certainly is at the time of making this video. Now, this has cooled off just slightly. I think it was in the low 80s last time we looked. So it is nice to see it slightly cooling off as Bitcoin is literally just consolidating below 100,000 and appears to be getting ready to break that level, but we'll be looking at the price action chart here shortly. And popping over to Google Trends to see what the interest from the retail investor is looking like currently, and I have this set to search term Bitcoin over worldwide and the last 12 months. And we can see since we last looked at this that it has cooled off even further here, currently coming in at about a 56. It did hit a critical level not too long ago at 100 and has since just been cooling off. So we can see that the Fear and Greed Index is coming down ever so slightly, and so are the search terms. So maybe a little bit of a bullish reset on some of the sentiment as well as the interest in the market. I do like to see this as Bitcoin is going through price discovery. And quickly popping over here to take a look at the total Bitcoin spot ETF net inflows. And this does lag a little bit, but we can see that some major interest in the ETFs is coming back into the market again, as Bitcoin is just basically consolidating under that $100,000 mark. We can see that the daily total net inflows just recently was 675 million. And at today's current price of Bitcoin, that's approximately 7,074 Bitcoin worth of inflows. But we do have this developing currently as well. And this is a post just recently from Bitcoin News saying that 2 large Bitcoin outflows totaling over 19,000 BTC 1.87 billion, were observed on Coinbase in the past 24 hours. Now, at some point, we are going to get a nasty correction. Historically speaking, Bitcoin does nasty corrections even in the context of a bull market. And these corrections can be upwards of 30%, sometimes even a little bit more. Does that correction happen right here, right now? Does Bitcoin push a little bit higher and then we get that correction? All of that remains to be seen. So we'll just continue to take the market level by level with the macro in mind. And into the price action of Bitcoin inside TradingView on a daily time frame. And at the time of making this video, we can see Bitcoin's looking just slightly droopy in the short term, and maybe it wants to pull back a little bit further. Now, if it does, I'm going to be watching this horizontal right here, which is marking out the yellow 21 exponential moving average. And that's coming in at a price point of 92,907. If Bitcoin does pull back to that level, it manages to hold that on a closing basis. As you can see, that would be a higher low versus this pivot right here, which means that the bullish structure is still intact. If we drop down to the RSI, we can see the RSI is still quite sloped to the downside here, but interestingly enough, it's still in that higher low territory. You can see the structure of higher low after higher low after higher low, and maybe the RSI is getting ready to find a little bit of a low here. If it doesn't, not a death sentence, but interesting to see this higher low structure taking place. Now, there's still potentially some hidden bullish divergence in play. If we look at this price structure right here, we can kind of see where the RSI read was here. And on this higher price structure that we're currently experiencing, you can see the RSI is lower. Now, that's not quite confirmed, but if it does confirm itself, that's likely going to mean well, it'll probably happen on a very quick test of the all-time high, and I think that it would likely break it at that point in time. Now, the all-time high I do have marked with this purple box, with the bottom side coming in around 99,000, and the top side is just under 100,000. If Bitcoin blasts through there, there's another level here to be watching at 102, which I have marked by this horizontal, and that's actually the 1.618 of the Fibonacci extension. Likely Bitcoin's going to get through there, but a lot of people have that marked out. A lot of people are talking about it, watching it, so we might as well pay attention to that as well. Dropping down to the stochastic momentum, we can see the stochastic momentum is crossed to the downside, but again, we have a potential higher low structure here. All three of these higher lows, the stochastic is kind of in that region right now. And a few videos ago, I was mentioning that maybe the stochastic wants to pull back somewhere near the edge of the bullish control zone, maybe find its footing, get that cross back to the upside as the bulls are trying to push Bitcoin through that all-time high. That remains to be seen, but again, this is in that higher low structure area as well. So the areas that I'm watching on this chart is obviously the all-time high. Whether Bitcoin wants to bounce now and make an attempt at that, perfectly fine with me. If Bitcoin wants to pull back a little bit, I'm going to be watching this yellow 21 EMA on a daily time frame. If it somehow manages to break down below that, say closing below this pivot right here, then there will be a little bit more pressure applied to this chart, and I'll be looking down to this purple box zone, which has a top side coming in about 87,000 and a bottom side coming in at about 85,000. Now, I don't think that's what's happening, but I'll be leaving that on my chart, paying attention to it if Bitcoin does manage to break this pivot right here and undo some of this bullish structure as it's consolidating below that $100,000 mark. I personally think, my opinion is that Bitcoin at some time soon is likely going to be testing that all-time high, and if it does, coming in on that hidden bullish divergence, it's probably going to break it, and it's probably going into the six figures. Now, if you're new to crypto or you just want to learn more about the space, I want to invite you over to my YouTube channel. If you come to my channel and you click here on playlists, here's where you're going to find an entire library of a bunch of free tutorials, all the way from how to use a self-custody hot wallet like Phantom Wallet or MetaMask, and a variety of different crypto exchanges. And these are all playlists and they're completely free. So for example, if we came over here to Weeks and clicked on Full Playlist, not only will you find the step-by-step beginner tutorials on how to use the spot market, how to trade on futures, but you'll find additional tutorials on different topics regarding that playlist. Again, these tutorials are completely free. I spent a lot of time during the bear market creating all of these for you, so make sure to pop over to my channel, click on playlists, and take advantage of this free content. I'll be adding more playlists in the future, as well as adding more videos to the existing playlists that you see here. That's what I got for you in this video. Make sure to leave a comment down below. Let me know what your thoughts are. Don't forget to leave me a like and hit subscribe if you got some value out of this. And if you do subscribe, make sure to tick that bell down below so that you're notified when I put out future videos. Thanks so much for coming by and checking out this video. Looking forward to seeing you in the next one. And until I do, have yourself a powerful day.